Hey everyone, welcome back to HM Terminal. Today we are going to explore one of the most important topics in the Linux file system. So if you ever wondered what the directories like home, etc., bin, var actually do, so this video will explain them in the simplest way possible with easy to understand examples. By the end of this video, you will have a solid understanding of how Linux organizes everything inside the operating system. So without wasting any time, let's get started. Before we jump into the Linux file system, let's answer one of the simplest questions. Why does Linux feel so different from Windows? There are three major differences between Windows and Linux. First one, Windows use multiple drive letters like C drive, D drive or E drive, but Linux does not have drive letters. Everything starts from a single root directory called slash, represented by a symbol forward slash. Every file and folders ultimately belong somewhere under this root directory. So the second difference is case sensitivity. In Windows, file.txt and file.txt are treated as same files, but here the difference is the first one having a small f and the second one having a capital F. But Windows treat both as same files. But in Linux, they are completely different files. Just changing the capital letter changes the file name. So the third difference, and probably the most interesting one, is that in Linux, everything is treated as a file. Example, hard disk, USB drives, keyboards, and even running processor are also accessed like files. Once you understand these ideas, learning Linux would become much easier. So now let's understand the Linux directory structure. Think of it like a huge tree. The trunk of tree is root directory represented by a single slash. From this root, many important directories grow. Each one has different responsibilities. Some stores user files, some contain system commands, some manage hardware, some keep config files. By the end of this video, every one of these folder will make perfect sense for you. So let's start with one of the most important directories, home directory. Think of your computer as a big apartment building. Every user gets their own private room. That's exactly what the home directory does. Whenever a new user is created, Linux automatically creates a separate folder inside the home. So let's see. Let's open terminal, type cd space forward slash home and press enter. So currently we are in home directory. Let's list all the users that are present in home directory. Type ls space dash l and enter. So here you can see there are two users. One is Sandeep, the other one is Siva. So now let's go to the home directory. Type xdg dash open forward slash home and press enter. So here you can see we are in home directory. So in this home directory there are two users. One is Sandeep, the other one is Siva. This Sandeep is locked because currently we are logging into the Siva user. So if you want to create a new user, you can go to settings and here you can type user. Go to the user settings, and if you want to add a new user, you can add from here. Let's close this. Let's close this. So let's list again. So here you can see there are two users. Let's log into the Siva. Let's press enter. Sorry, cd. So currently we are in Siva. Let's list all the files and folders that are present in Siva. So these are all the files and folders that are present inside the Siva. So the personal files will be stored inside the home slash Siva. Downloads, pictures, documents, desktop, music, everything personal belongings here. User cannot normally access another user's home folder without permission. So home is basically a personal workspace. The next one is the bin directory. Bin stands for binary. This folder contains essential commands that every Linux system needs. Commands like cd, mv, pwd, cat, rm, mkdir, etc. are stored in this bin directory. So whenever you type these commands in the Linux terminal, Linux knows exactly where to find them. Without this directory, basic command lines like pd, cwd, mv, these won't work. So let's open bin directory. First of all, open terminal and type cd slash and press enter. So currently we are in root directory. So now let's list all the directories that are present in CD. So here you can see, here is the bin directory. Let's go type cd dash bin and press enter. So let's list all the files and directories that are present in bin. Let's type ls dash l and enter. So here you can see these are all the files and directories that are present inside the bin directory. Let's list it again. So here you can see there are many binary files, binary folders that are present inside this list. Now let's look at Sbin. This stands for System Binaries. Unlike bin, these programs are mainly used by the system administrators. They help with tasks like disk management, repairing files, network configuration, booting, shutting down, and many other administration operators. So regular users rarely need these commands. They are mainly used to manage the operating system itself. So now let's go into the terminal. So let's type cd slash enter. So now let's list all the files and directories. So here you can see the sbin. So let's move it. Type cd sbin and press enter. So let's list all the files in sbin. So here you can see these are all the files that are present in sbin. So now we are arriving at one of the most important directories in Linux, that is /etc. So think of this folder as a control room of your operating system. Almost every system configuration lives here, like network settings, DNS configuration, user account, SSH configuration. Here SSH configuration is nothing but a shell configuration. Also host name, installed services, everything is configured from here. So if you ever want to change Linux behavior, then you have to edit this etc directory. So let's open terminal. Let's go to root list. So here let's go to etc. So currently we are in etc directory. Let's list all the files that are in etc. So here you can see these are all the files that are present in etc. So next comes var. Var stands for variable. This folder stores data that constantly change while the system is running. For example, system logs, application logs, cache files, mails, printing queues, database files. So as you are using the computer, this directory keeps going because Linux continuously writes and reads the information from here. So whenever you're troubleshooting the Linux, this is the place where you need to check first. So let's get into terminal. So type cd slash and enter. Now let's list them. So here you can see where here. So let's type cd space where and press enter. Now list them. So here you can see these are the files and folders that are present in where. So as you can see here, there's a mail, logs, local files, cache files, and temporary files, backups. So this is where the files have been stored in var. The next directory is user. So despite its name, it does not only contain user files. Think of it as a huge software library. So it stores installed applications, shared libraries, documentation, manual pages, fonts, icons, wallpapers, and many programming tools. So basically, most softwares that you installed eventually ends up somewhere inside this user bin. So it's one of the largest directories on the most Linux system. Let's open terminal and type cd forward slash enter. Let's list them all. So here you can see user is here. So let's go into that. Cd user enter. Here you can see these are all the files that are present inside the user. So now let's see how Linux actually starts. Everything required for booting the operating system lives inside this boot directory. This includes the Linux kernel, the bootloader, and the initial RAM file system. So when you press the power button, the system first loads the bootloader. The bootloader loads the kernel. The kernel system starts the operating system. So without this boot directory, Linux cannot simply start the system. So let's open terminal and let's go to root files, list them. So now let's go to boot. Sorry. boot and press enter. Let's list all the files that are in the boot directory. So here you can see these are the files that are inside the boot directory. Let's list them with more details. So here you can see these are the important files that are required to boot our system. So now let's see /dev. So earlier when I mentioned that in Linux everything is a file, the dev directory is the perfect example. This folder represents hardware devices as files: hard disks, USB drives, keyboards, mouse, microphones, printers, webcams, everything appears here. Instead of talking directly to hardware, Linux communicate through these device files. So let's open terminal and type cd press enter, sorry, cd slash plus press enter. Let's list them and let's go to the dev, list them. So here you can see these are all the files and directories that are present inside the dev directory. So here you can see these are nothing but my ssd files, and they are temp files. So the next folder is temp. Temp stands for temporary. Program stores temporary files here while they are running. Think of it like your desk. You keep papers there while working. Once you finish your work, you throw them away. Similarly, temporary files inside the temp are often deleted automatically after a reboot or after some time. So don't store important files in this temp storage. So let's open terminal and type cd enter. Let's list them. Go to temp, again list them. So here you can see these are all the temporary files. So some or the other way these files are going to be get deleted after rebooting. So this is how it works. So finally we have one of the most unique directory in Linux, /proc. This folder does not store normal files. Instead, it provides live information directly from the Linux kernel. So you can check CPU usage, memory usage, running process, kernel information, system uptime, hardware details, and much more. The amazing part is that these files don't actually exist on your hard disk. Linux creates them dynamically when you access them. That's why /proc is often called as a virtual file system. Let's open terminal and go to root directory, list them. So now let's go to processes, then let's list them. So here you can see these are all the files and directories that are present inside the process directory. So if you want to check a CPU, you can just go to cd cpu, sorry, cd. So and where is CPU here? You don't have CPU, right? Yeah, CPU information here, there, right? So you can just copy here, paste it, press enter. Oh, so sorry. So it's a file, right? So we can't open, it's not directory. You need to type cat space CPU info, enter. So here you can see it's a complete information about my CPU, how many cores. This is a 6 processor, 7 processor, two. So totally I have 12 processors. And that's it for today's video. I hope you now have a clear understanding of Linux file system and what each important directory is used for. In the next video, we will move from theory to practical. I will teach you the most essential Linux commands that every beginner should know, and we will use those commands to navigate the file system step by step. So if you don't want to miss that video, make sure to subscribe to the channel and turn on the notification. If you found this video helpful, give it a like and share it with your friends. Thanks for watching, and we will see you in the next video. Happy learning. Bye.